Hello, and welcome to this thing. This isn't really a show or a episode or anything. This is kind of more of a rundown, though it is a companion to what you just saw last. I'm going to be posting this shortly after the Boneworks third part, because I comment on a cargo container there and how it kind of changed my life. And I'm kind of vague on it. I went and watched the video, and I feel that I did a disservice just how I said things. So I want to just actually show you and explain some things about the world of making games in a post VR world and also a post asset store world, and how game development is more of a pure design exercise now, because you can fill in the blanks on code using the asset store, you can fill in the blanks on art using the asset store, but filling in design is up to you still. I say still because eventually AI will probably change this. So we'll see what happens, though. So this is actually, let's start with something simpler real quick before we go right into it. Um, so this is my little base VR project thing that I was working on for cooking with VR before. Um, and this was something that I did when I tried to get things going about a year ago, and I just ran into a bunch of problems. But this was something I continued to iterate on and work on, and ultimately is where I learned everything that I needed to know to start making the show again and actually have something that's useful and tangible and easier to run. And part of it's possibly possible because the tools have improved and become less wishy-washy, and there's better examples and better built-in features. And part of it is just me figuring out what combination of things actually works. So I'm using my hands to talk right now, and it's not helping anyone because you can only see a mouse cursor just spasming across the screen, probably. So my apologies about that. So I'm gonna hit play here, and this is my little test rig for my setup. You'll see that it looks very similar to the test rig from before. Now this one's not using the Unity ones for movement, and I also don't even have rotation on here because I didn't need it at this point because I can just move around. But it does have a little thing where, well, actually, no, I guess I don't have it hooked in right now. Hold on. Probably because it had that missing script problem that I've been dealing with for some reason. So let's just no. Didn't want to edit it, just want it gone. And we're just going to put world grab movement in here and just configure it real quick. So this is my little world movement where you can grab objects and also grab the environment to climb. And so kind of similar to not really Boneworks. Boneworks has that whole physical aspect. This is more like Population 1's climbing. So, but I still have to configure it. So we have to have the left hand rigid body. So I just drag in the left hand here. You'll see it's kind of similar configuration to the other thing, the Unity XR Toolkit version of this. Although they don't have climb with hands, so we're going to be building something similar to this on the show too, or maybe just using these scripts. XRI left. Grip. Typing with a virtual keyboard right now, so my apologies that it's not super fast. And XRI. Right. Grip. All right. And anything else I need to do? Oh yeah, climbable object layer mask. We'll do everything. Grabbable object layer mask. We'll do. Oh wait, not everything. We'll not do the player. And everything else should be okay. And I'm just going to make sure that the player is on the player layer, which is not. So we're just going to put that on the player layer. Sure. And I'm just going to hit play. So I'm in here and I get my climb script in here. And I'm like, okay, cool. I can grab things and I can climb and I can get on top of them. And I've got physics and I can jump off of things and I still have physics and I can kind of like, I can't roll over this one because it's still too shallow, but I was testing that as like a rolling example and stuff. And I only got this far into building the level. And I'm like, there's that whole asset store thing. I'm broke, but I can afford free, right? So I'm just gonna, search the asset store for a free environment and see what I get. And I ended up searching for like environments free and just going down the list. And I found this really cool industrial environment. I guess it's called RPG FPS Game Assets Industrial is what the folder's called. I'll try and get the asset store name for you and put it in the description here. But anyway, I just wanted to see. I was like, hey, my climbing just kind of sucks, but I don't really have a real climbing case. So I downloaded this, and I'm just gonna save that so that I don't have to deal with that again in the future. And I just threw my player character controller in here, just threw the prefab into the scene, and then hit play. And first off, I was just like, oh hey, this is actually really cool. And so in Boneworks, one of the spoiler alert, one of the kind of overarching themes is kind of the idea that our world and the virtual worlds aren't very far apart. And then also virtual worlds are kind of like these places that we kind of pilfer from. And so I'm going through this and I'm like, this is just so cool that I have this going on. And I'm like, oh wow, the climbing works. And now all of a sudden the climbing feels really good because I have things to climb and these things actually feel like a real thing. And the collision was already all set up in the scene, like I didn't have to do anything special. And here I am moving around using my character controller and being able to climb things in VR. And so I'm feeling like I'm exploring this world that few have seen, right? Like this isn't a place that I've been to in a particular game. This is just a showcase of what it could be like if you were a game. But just this showcase feels like another place. And while I was playing around, and actually I didn't even notice them on the right over there, they're over there too, but while I was going through this place, I realized, like it was here that I saw it, I was like, wait, I've seen this before. Like I recognize it from this edge even, like even though this is not the most recognizable edge. And there it is. There's the cargo container from Boneworks. It's right here, the whole thing. It's like unchanged and just in there. And you can look at it and you're like, this is that same thing. Like it doesn't feel like I've seen assets from games before where I've seen them and like, oh, that's from an asset store pack, whatever. And I never thought anything twice about it. But when I was in here in virtual reality, seeing it as this object that it was, and just seeing it just so familiar and yet just in this world that I had never explored before was mind blowing to me. And it also all of a sudden made me realize that I can make my dream games now. Like before you had like it's the act of game development is different than what we thought it was. Like it's no longer just hire people to make your dream. You don't have to start from scratch anymore. There's so much already out there. So I want to also point out that this is indeed the Monogon security thing here. Like these things don't have physics like the ones in the Monogon, although I think I'm going to play with that real quick while we're in this thing anyway. But they just took it, they added some black striping over the yellow that was already here, and they added the Monogon and then like the 900 kilograms thing, and the description of what it was on the object. And otherwise, this is a free asset that anyone could use in their game. And so like this is game development's no longer just, building the full set. It's now more like actual set building, where it's like, hey, we need some props. So you might go to the dollar store and buy things to fill a scene, or you might have a whole lot prop department of things that you can just set into scenes that show up in multiple movies, but no one cares because they're a can here or a bottle there. And this is now happening in game development. Furthermore, the act of design doesn't have to be as difficult as it used to be. I'm gonna try and show you right here. Actually, this will be probably a great example. So let's say we wanted to actually make these roadblocks. Let's just search for roadblock here. And we're just gonna take all of them. Actually, since they're all based on the same, I'm assuming they're all based on the same prefab. Yep, there it is. So let's make this have a rigid body on it. Let's just add a rigid body. And sure, we can use gravity, and we have a mesh collider already. It's already set to convex, which will make it, yeah, let's just leave it at convex for right now. It'll make it a little bit bigger on the edge here, but it won't matter. And let's just see what happens. Oh yeah, the other thing is I want to make it so, what layer is it on? Let's just put it on a new layer. I'm going to call it Grabable. All right, so we just do grabbable, and we go back to the roadblock here and put the layer on grabbable. And then finally, I think I don't have it set up in the player quite yet, so go down into the grabbable object layer mask and make it grabbable. Hit play. All right, so we have these things. Oh, they might be marked as static. This may not work. Yep, they're marked as static. 1 second. So we just got to go back to road again. Road. Because I don't think you can have this in the prefab itself as a marking, but I could be wrong. So we're just going to hold shift, select all the roadblocks, and go to not static, and then hit play. All right, so let's see what we got here. Can I grab them now? Yes, I can. All right, so here we go. So I'm just using a little script I wrote, and I'm going to go over the script. And it's not the shortest script I've ever written or anything. But here we go. This is how you could set up a whole scene or change the elements of a scene by simply grabbing and moving the objects of the scene into a new configuration. And this does not take any particular technical talent. This is now just something that anyone could do that was handed this headset and controllers, right? This is not rocket science here. Yes, I'm sure that you'll get better at placement. I'm sure that there are things that like work better or worse. Now you will see that there's like some baked in shadow stuff that like doesn't look great because we move them and stuff. And again, it's because these were originally set up as static objects, and they baked the light into them and they baked the geometry into them so that they'd run faster. I just wanted to do this as a really quick example, and all you have to do is just make them not static and add rigid bodies and have some form of script to manipulate them. So, also you get to see how optimal they are. They've got, no bottom here, so they probably had to fix that up on good old Boneworks. But yeah, I mean, and I could do that with every class of object in the scene. You could just make them movable. And the thing is, as I said in one of the Boneworks videos, you can just save this. Like even without any additional code, I can just, hit pause here, and I could just be like, hey, road. We could just take these guys that we already have selected, actually, and then, oh, I deselected them by clicking again. And just control copy, and then we can just stop playing, and we can just paste them into the scene again. Just control V. It doesn't really matter where we put them, and we hit play. And okay, so part of the problem was, that didn't quite do what I was hoping. Part of the problem was I duplicated these and they hit themselves again, but I don't know why they didn't show up in the scene where I expected them to be when I pasted them in. Control Z. Let's try it again real quick. I have done this before. I must be doing something wrong. Anyway, you can see how it works in concept even if I don't get it working right in front of the screen here. And the other thing is, like, even though you don't have to write any tools to make this work, it doesn't mean that you can't write tools to make it work. You can play around with that stuff. So let's try this one more time. So pause. So we got these. I'm just gonna copy just these ones. Wonder where the last one is. Oh, there it is, way down here. Okay, so here, I'll just get a copy of one of them. Try my luck with that. Then control paste. Huh. Control. There it is. Okay. So there it is in the position that I put it in. Okay, this is not a great example, ultimately, but yes, it can be done. Also, I've got little like colliders on the hands here, so you can like push it around, but it feels like really lightweight, and part of the reason is because this thing is probably really lightweight, and on top of this, I don't have like any give on the player at all in my setup. It's not like Boneworks. This is like 100% my fist is here, and it will respect my fist position more than anything else. Same with my leg positions, probably. Maybe not as much so. Interesting. But yeah. Um, so one other example while we're here, might as well just show something else. What are we gonna do? I'm gonna close this project. Sure, we'll save this. Have the extra thing in there. And I was just gonna open up Darts Pool Legacy XR. So I'm working on a little pool game. I'm working on a few different projects, and this is one of them. But I just wanted to show it to you because this also has some stuff that's code stuff that I got from the asset store, and I'll put it in the links because it's really good. There's this thing called Auto Hand, and and it's it's a great starting point for hand interactions that are actually physical. I wanted to develop my own solution for this thing too, but I just wanted to give a shout out to this because I'm probably going to use it for this project and a few projects because it's a very clean solution, and it's nice to have another programmer working on the hand stuff. Why is this taking forever? Well, I have plenty to talk about. There's another project I'm working on, of course, is Quintessence, and I'm gonna have to show that one here too. Actually, might as well. I don't know why I wouldn't show that. Actually, I'm gonna save that for a different video. I'm gonna do a video specific for Quintessence. Um, so why do I have more than one project is probably a good question. I found that if I have more than one project, I actually get more done because I'll get stuck on a project and I'll move on to the other project, and then I'll solve problems there, and then I'll move those solutions over to the other project, and then during that interim, I figure out what I was doing wrong in the other project, kind of, sometimes. I'm gonna stop and play again because it seemed like that didn't play right. Oh, I know why. It's just because I'm using a third-person camera right now. Actually, maybe that's a good thing. Can you see me? Let's see. Yeah, you can see me. All right. But yeah, so let's just stick with the third person camera for right now. So I've got this pool game, and the thing is, it has nice hands, and these hands actually kind of work like Boneworks hands. Like I can get an object and I can tap it against the table, and I can hit things with my object, and the physics on this feel really good when you have good hands. Like I can just. Am I actually showing the screen at all? Let me just make sure. Like, let me bring the camera a little bit closer in, actually. Just so you can see me working. Whoops. Stay still. All right. All right. And I'm just moving the camera in the same way. Like, I'm just literally grabbing it with these hands, and the hands actually grip around things. So, like, I want to show I'm going to just finish up making a triangle here just so that I can show the Okay. So first off, I want to show that like picking's really easy. Like if I want that green ball, I can get that green ball. And same thing if I want to change the front ball here. If I am like, hey, wait, no, the 8 ball has to go in the middle here. It's actually pretty easy to do all those things, and I didn't do anything special to do that. It just has good picking, and it also grips like with the hands. Like it sometimes gets a little bit funky on the grip, like you can see the thumbs going through there, but it does a really really good job of uh of just defaulting to having like here you can see my hand how they grip, and it actually feels like I'm gripping around the object. You can see that my fingers curled around on the outside here, and you can set up set grips too. But I have done none of this. This is just a physics object with this strange shape that it has, and the hands work very well. Ended up making this into an advertisement for our hand, and that's fine though, right? Because like more people need to have access to this stuff so that they can start playing with things. Like you don't want to worry about how your hands work. You want to have a world that you can start manipulating, right? So my point is here is middleware exists and you shouldn't be afraid of it. And also it's really cheap right now. Like it's I think I got this on sale, the hands on sale for $15 or something. And I can use that in as many projects as I want. It's crazy. But yeah, it's also this monitor here is like just a free asset on the asset store. Like you can do a lot, and like I use this as like one of my quote unquote main characters of Quintessence. He'll probably undergo a lot of changes during the course of development. But yeah. So what else do we got? Oh, I just realized I wasn't maximized on that. Oh well, who cares? Just gonna close this out. And was there one more thing I wanted to show? Let's end on that for right now. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I know this is just kind of a random video. That's probably what I'll call it, a random video. I don't know. But thank you for watching, and thank you for watching the Boneworks stuff if you watched that earlier. And if you didn't, maybe you watch that, unless you don't want spoilers for Boneworks, in which case I totally understand. Go play Boneworks. Have a good one.